Wow, talk about a nerve-wracking time to be on a cruise ship. Hurricane Michael passes right by a Royal Caribbean ship near Cuba. Storm is shaping up to be a monster. Millions of people are in Michael's path tonight as it threatens the most vulnerable parts of the Sunshine State. We're tracking Hurricane Michael at 11 o'clock. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm David Allen.
And I'm Regina Mobley. Thousands of people are being told to get out while they can. Here's a live look at the wind in Gulf Shores, Alabama tonight. The National Hurricane Center warns Michael will push a life-threatening storm surge into parts of the Gulf Coast, bringing with it dangerous winds and soaking rains. We have team coverage for you tonight.
Elizabeth Herr is in Panama City Beach as the Gulf Coast braces for impact. But we begin with Chief Meteorologist Jeff Lawson, who's tracking potential problems for Hampton Roads.
Yeah, sort of a good news, bad news situation in terms of the changes. Bad news for the Gulf. Little bit better news for us. We'll talk about that. As you can see, no real rain out there, but I wanted to start with the radar anyway to show you and highlight the counties and the areas that are underneath of a tropical storm watch until Friday afternoon. And in our viewing area, it's really Dare County, although I know we go on cable in a few areas down across Turl County and Washington County. So basically from the Albemarle Sound south. This is the bad news, though. This storm is really, again, holding its own and even intensifying, and it is now likely to become a Category 4 storm, not a 3, as it sits offshore. Can't say for sure it's going to stay a 4 as it comes on shore, but it looks like 100, and that's not a big difference. So earlier it was 125 miles per hour, now saying 130, but every little bit, of course, hurts in terms of adding those numbers up. And then once it does come on shore, it'll start to weaken very, very rapidly. By tomorrow evening, be down to not a whole lot above a minimal category 75 mile per hour hurricane, then down to 45. That's a lower number than we had before. We had 50. Remember, I was talking about whether or not it would start to intensify as it got closer to the coastline. That'll still be the big question, because right now we're saying 45 in eastern North Carolina, and then as it gets offshore is when it likely starts to strengthen. But that 60 mile per hour number is also down compared to what was being shown earlier. So that's a little better for us. In terms of the impact, very, very heavy rain for about a 6-hour period. Most of us, that won't cause a lot of problems. In a few areas it will. Tidal flooding shouldn't be a real problem. Tornado, minor problems for most of us. I think they'll tend to stay to the south, but maybe moderate in North Carolina. And wind damage, minor for inland areas, moderate right near the coastline with some trees potentially down. We'll talk more about the specifics in terms of the wind speeds we're expecting and the timing of everything. I'll break it all down for you coming up.
Jeff, thank you. Some perspective here. Advisories from the National Hurricane Center reveal how far tropical storm force winds extend from the eye. Hurricane Michael is about 370 miles wide. That's roughly, as you see on the graphic there, the distance between Norfolk and Charlotte. So
let's take you back live to the Gulf Coast. You can see the wind is already pushing around the flags. Tonight, parts of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia are under states of emergency.
Mandatory evacuations are also in effect in some areas. That includes Panama City Beach, Florida, where we find ABC's Elizabeth Herr with the latest.
Hurricane Michael intensifying in the Florida Panhandle, preparing for a monster storm.
This storm is dangerous, and if you don't follow warnings from officials, this storm could kill you.
Michael's power already on full display off the coast of Cuba. For hundreds of passengers on board the Empress of the Seas cruise ship, all safe but still in awe.
We battled 13 to 15 foot swells last night. There were heavy rains at point. There was lightning out in the distance.
The storm already leaving Central America devastated, killing more than a dozen in the region. Here in the U.S., most residents in Michael's path are heeding the warning from officials to be prepared. Stocking up on food and water while moving anything and everything out of harm's way.
I don't want it to sink. I just hauled it back to Georgia and rebuilt the thing.
Across Florida, there are voluntary and mandatory evacuations, with officials stressing their concern is the storm surge.
The potential of 12 feet of storm surge in some areas is just deadly. You're not going to survive this. Don't take a chance.
Officials have said all day, if you have been ordered to evacuate and have not come tomorrow, it will be too late, calling the storm the most destructive in decades. Elizabeth Herr, ABC News, Panama City Beach, Florida.
Now, if you want to get an idea of how potentially devastating this storm could be, the Waffle House in Panama City Beach is already closed.
What do you think about the fact that the Waffle House is closed?
It sucks. I was kind of hungry.
All right, so why is this such a big deal? So when storms hit, FEMA looks to Waffle House, of all places, to gauge where the storm left the most damage. In a 2011 blog post, then FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate wrote in part, "If a Waffle House is closed because there is a disaster, it's bad. We call it red. If they're open but they have a limited menu, that's yellow. If they're green, we're good. Keep going." Fugate stepped down last year, but the Waffle House Index lives on.
Two teams, highly skilled search and rescue pros from Hampton Roads, are on their way to the Gulf Coast tonight. 13 News Now was in Norfolk this morning as the Hampton Roads Incident Management Team geared up. Virginia Task Force 2 also deployed from Virginia Beach today. They're bringing boats and search and rescue gear and tons of experience at this.
Everybody, when we put out last night, we were sending a team out. We had plenty of people roger up and say they were ready to go, even though they just got back a couple days ago. So the teams, everybody's queued up and ready to go. This is what we do. It's what we train for, what we practice for. Everybody wants to go out the door.
These first responders from our region are often the first one FEMA calls when a major storm is on the way. Join the thousands of 13 News Now viewers using our app to get real-time updates on Hurricane Michael. Download it for free right now from your app store.
New tonight, video surfaces of a Norfolk police officer pepper spraying a teenager. Now we're learning more about the moments leading up to the confrontation caught on camera. Tonight, the family of that teen tried to bring their concerns straight to the city leaders, but they could not.
13 News Now reporter Megan Puryear is live in the newsroom with new information from the department's top brass.
Regina, David, police are currently investigating not just that video, but also the officers involved in that video to determine whether or not they followed the proper protocol.
The teen in this video is a 16-year-old who was arrested by police Monday. Police say they saw the teen walking in the road on 19th Street just before 1 in the afternoon. Officers say they stopped him under suspicion of truancy, and at some point during the interaction with police, the officers used pepper spray on the teen. That's when someone saw what was happening and hit record. A woman, high above the street, captured the encounter through a window as police handcuffed the blinded teen and removed his backpack. Then the videographer went downstairs for a closer look, right on the street. From a first-floor doorway, she recorded the teen pressed against the police cruiser while officers searched him. Police say paramedics later treated the teen at the scene and released him to a parent. His parents were at Norfolk City Council tonight. They arrived just as the meeting began and couldn't sign up to speak in front of council, but Mayor Kenny Alexander came to them. The family did not want to speak on camera, but say they hope to come to an understanding with the mayor on what happened Monday afternoon between their son and police.
Police say charges for that teen will be determined at the end of the investigation. As for the officers involved, they remain on duty. Live in the newsroom, I'm Megan Puryear, 13 News Now.
Portsmouth Public School parents and administrators scratching their heads tonight. They're not sure why more than $5 million they thought was meant for the school district will not end up in the city's pocket.
But the city says there's nothing to be concerned about. The money will be there if and when they need it. 13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd is live in the studio.
Well, the big issue here, according to the school district, is communication or lack thereof. They feel like the city needs to be a lot more transparent when you're talking about millions of dollars in funding.
That caught us all off guard because there hadn't been any discussion about it, and we met last week.
Portsmouth Public Schools Superintendent Eli Bracey was expecting City Council to appropriate $5.1 million into the school district's risk management fund. But Bracey says at the last minute, things changed.
The city is saying that they found a 45-year-old code that they shared with us this afternoon that they're going to follow now.
Because of this code, the city has adopted a new ordinance that puts that $5.1 million into their own budget, called the School Board Risk Management and Insurance Fund.
In no way is this money being taken by the city.
The city says the money is still set aside for the school district, only now they have to ask permission in order to use it.
Basically, the money is there. If you need it, come talk to the city manager. But we need to sit down and talk about that process.
Bracey says this emergency funding needs to be easily accessible if and when needed. He's afraid the city could present unnecessary hoops to jump through.
Say an employee has a medical condition and the cost exceeds an enormous amount, then we can go and pull from that.
City Councilman Bill Moody agreed that the process could have been handled better. He was one of 2 council members to vote against the new ordinance.
If we're going to improve and build on trust between the school board and city council, we got to make sure that both parties are on the same wavelength.
Now, there were also a number of parents at tonight's meeting that spoke out against the city in regards to how they handled this matter. Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.